Good morning. We come today to speak with you about a critical question facing us here in Georgia and around our nation, and that is jobs and bringing the jobs home. Last week, the U.S. Senate had an opportunity to vote for the Bring Jobs Home Act bill, which would have incented corporations to bring American jobs back to America. They failed the test. I'm sorry to say that the GOP voted virtually unanimously to block that bill in the U.S. Senate. That bill is filed in the House and the Senate, and we call on our senators and our members of Congress to pay attention to the needs of Georgians and to vote to bring jobs home to America. We have dangerously lopsided tax policies at the federal level that actually reward companies for offshoring American jobs.
That's not right.
That's right, and it's time for that to end. We in the Working Families Caucus of the Georgia General Assembly and the Georgia Senate are here today joined with leaders of labor from across the city and the state to send a message loud and clear to Washington. Georgia legislators in the congressional delegation of Georgia should support the Bring the Jobs Home Act and seriously be about the business of building our economy by bringing. The Georgia State Legislature can take action and must take action, and we're proposing 3 steps. Number 1, the legislature and our state political leaders need to shine a light on companies that receive taxpayer dollars through state contracts or from economic development assistance. That's just not right. Number 2, we should prohibit taxpayer dollars from going to companies that ship work offshore. And number 3, we should ensure that our state tax dollars are used to buy goods and services made in America. We are standing with you today to say that we're renewing our efforts in the Georgia General Assembly to put these policies into law here in our state. We have introduced legislation, and sadly, it has failed to move forward in the Georgia General Assembly. The voters need to understand that as they go to the polls this summer and this fall to select their state leadership. We believe that Georgians and all Americans deserve better than to have our tax dollars supporting jobs overseas, while in our very own state of Georgia, unemployment figures hover between 9 and 10%, and some areas of the state far, far worse. Some communities suffer rates as high as 15%. Failure to act in the face of this massive unemployment and this poor economy is simply unacceptable. We send a message to Senators Isaacson and Chambliss and the members of our congressional delegation to get on board and support this bill, put aside your partisan concerns, and stand up for Georgians and stand up for Americans. We as elected officials here in Georgia will continue supporting the Bring the Jobs Home measure on the federal level, and we'll be introducing Buy Georgia, Buy American legislation to create jobs here in Georgia. Senate Bill 320 was introduced, myself and several colleagues in the Senate this year, which would prohibit state agencies from using state taxpayer dollars to contract for jobs that are going to be performed, services that are going to be performed overseas. It's a simple bill. We passed it and amended it in the Senate onto a bill, had a success there. It was stalled in the House. We call on our leadership here in Georgia to embrace these policies. Representative Fludd will be speaking shortly to discuss legislation that's been introduced in the House. We stand today to say we must take action. As public servants, it is our duty to work to better this economy and to bring jobs home. That bill in Washington would do the job. We have bills here in Georgia that will do the job. And what's that job? To bring jobs home to Georgia, bring jobs home to America. And I say to you, the Working Families Caucus has been engaged on this issue for some years now, and we simply want to send the message that nothing is more American than creating jobs and an economy that works for all Georgians and works for all Americans.
You know, the American dream is quickly slipping away from the grasp of many of us. It's not uncommon for people to drive through neighborhoods and see all the ravages of the economy devastating our communities. Foreclosures, layoffs, and jobs that have moved overseas. Living wage employment continues to elude an increasing number of Americans. Our country has lost more manufacturing jobs during the last decade than during the Great Depression. The closure of more than 50,000 manufacturing facilities, the loss of nearly 6 million manufacturing jobs, and chronic trade deficits are all troubling signs of our nation's diminishing industrial and innovative capability. And it's not just manufacturing jobs. Other jobs are being shipped overseas. Workers from call centers, professional services, and aircraft maintenance, as well as computer engineers, administrative services, and healthcare providers have seen their jobs transferred abroad. Just a week and a half ago, the United States Olympic Committee announced that they were going to have the 530 uniforms that the American athletes are going to be wearing in the opening ceremonies on Friday. Those uniforms are going to be made in China. Now, mind you, the jackets cost $800. The shirts cost $400. I can't imagine that there is not a manufacturing company in America that can make the uniforms for those American athletes, especially at those prices.
Bring jobs home.
Last year, I introduced the bill, House Bill 816, the Buy American Act, that would encourage and essentially require that state agencies use taxpayer dollars to buy products that are made in America. That's simple, easy, good sense business. For those people who are in leadership in Georgia who say that we should run our state like a business, there's no better business decision than using Georgia state taxpayer dollars to buy products that are made in Georgia and buy products that are made in America.
Bring jobs home.
We need to do everything that we can to do what is right for Georgia and what is right for the American workers, and that is to bring jobs home.
But our union is rooted in the traditions of textile workers and clothing workers. That's where we began. Many of you know Norma Rae, the famous movie. That was our union in the South trying to organize. And the sad reality is if we don't take action with the great senator and member of the House and our U.S. Congress, then things are going to continue to happen like happened to our members in our union. Whether it's Columbus, Georgia, Rock Hill, South Carolina, Eden, North Carolina, where I grew up as a kid, you used to be able to go into these communities and there were textile plants, sewing plants that thousands of our neighbors and our family members worked at every day. Brought home decent checks to be able to get a home, send your kids to college. And then one by one, they started to go away. So companies like J.P. Stevens, Cone Mills, Celanese, where you used to have communities with 3,000 or 4,000 people working in these plants. Now you're lucky if you have 50 people working in these plants. And whole towns have gone away. Many of us think the latest depression started in 2008, but the reality is this depression has been growing for 30 years, especially in the South and the communities that we come from. And so what does that mean for our communities? Moms and dads don't have money to put food on the table. Then what happens is our local restaurants and businesses don't have customers that come in and can pay the money for your, take your family out to eat, or a nice steak at the grocery store. And so those workers start to get hurt because they have to close down businesses, close down stores. Then it starts to hurt our police officers and our teachers because then there's not a tax base there to keep public services alive. And so, you might say, oh, that manufacturing worker, they lost their job. It doesn't affect me. I'm sad. It's gone. But after a while, it will catch up to everybody. And as Representative Fludd mentioned, now it's technology workers. Now with the rise of the internet and fast, high-speed internet, they can move a job to India to do a banker's job or a back office job here in the country. And so if we don't take action now, it's going to continue to affect more and more of our communities. We don't want to see it, and labor stands together. And we want to bring these jobs back. And a great opportunity, as we talked about, is Olympic uniforms. We have members that could sew high-quality uniforms and do it with pride, and to know that our athletes are there wearing our uniforms. We're proud to say that the President of the United States, Barack Obama, he makes sure that he wears suits that are made by our members, and the Olympians should be doing the same thing in everything. So we're going to continue to stand together. I'm going to turn it over to Charlie Fleming to talk about what we could do for next steps to make sure that we bring these jobs back home. Thank you.
Chris, my name's Charlie Fleming. I'm the president of the Georgia AFL-CIO. We represent a little over 120,000 union members here in the state, and we're certainly very disappointed, to say the least, in our senators Chambliss and Isaacson and how they've sided with multinational corporations instead of working families. The way they voted last week. And quite honestly, I think they're a little bit out of touch. They're out of touch about what working families who are just trying to put food on our tables. But I want you to know, and I think it's been laid out, I think Chris did a tremendous job of pointing out the connections, how this affects every sector, whether it's the police officers, whether it doesn't just affect the manufacturing, it affects all of us, all of our communities. But I just wanted to point out, working through our labor councils for the last month, we have been doing actions around the state, and certainly nationally the AFL is doing events trying to bring this tragedy of allowing corporations to send jobs overseas to light. And we're going to continue to fight. We're going to continue to work. We're going to continue to push to stop the currency manipulation by our trading partners. We're going to continue to fight that we start taxing the overseas incomes of U.S. corporations the same way we tax their domestic income. We want to bar companies that send call centers overseas from receiving federal grants and tax breaks. That's right. And then we want to push for fair trade policies that benefit workers, not just multinational corporations. So we're going to continue to fight. And finally, I just want to mention ABC News, which I think has actually done a very good job here, talking about bringing jobs home and how we as Americans, it really doesn't cost that much more. It takes a little work to find U.S. products, but I think they've done a good job. And I was looking on their website the other day, and there was a survey recently conducted by the Melman Group that said it was done for the Alliance for American Manufacturing, and the Buy American policies are hugely popular across party lines. This isn't a Democrat or a Republican issue. This is an American issue. 9 out of 10 Republicans and independents and 91% of the Democrats in this survey said they support Buy American policies. So it's time to put Americans back to work. It's time to stop the endless outsourcing of good American jobs, and let's get to work, and let's call our senators and our representatives, and let's put pressure. And we need to support our friends here at the state, i.e. Senator Orrock and Representative Fludd, in their bills that are going to be introduced this upcoming session. So thank you very much.